everybody online that's famous. Everybody's shooting really big 200-inch deer, but we're not doing that.
No.
We're hunting in Michigan.
A pressured state, and we're just trying to hunt deer that get us excited.
Yeah. This is kind of like a new, like we had a new beginning. You know what I mean?
We're at the bottom of the next level.
No. But do you remember we specifically had a podcast and it was labeled a new beginning?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. How recent was that though?
Are you recording? I need to know.
Of course, recording.
Okay. So I think this is appropriate.
Yeah.
So we literally had like a reset. That was like the company was a year old in terms of selling product.
Yeah.
And we were like very set on like, okay, this year is going to be a different year. So that was the beginning of 2023. Remember that?
Yeah. I wish I remembered it better. Like I want to go back and listen to what that was like. But
yeah. But this here, right this second, here we are in the studio. Like a lot has happened since that time.
Oh yeah.
And we're filming this. This is very new.
That's
very new. We've tried to do it in the past, but we have a new team member, Travis.
Hi.
Media Trav. We've kind of said that he's our Jamie in this instance, but he's heading up media for us. Yeah.
And he's going to be very much involved in what we're doing, not only this week but going forward as well.
He's going to increase focus, right, for you and I. Mm-hmm. He's going to give us a little bit more of a script. In a good way, like going to keep us corralled.
No one can corral Nate.
Yeah.
You can't corral me.
He's a force of nature, man.
Feral cat.
No, I'm that Mustang out on the Great Plains that you try and throw a lasso over and I just break the lasso in half.
Yeah, you're giving yourself too much credit.
I know. Anyway, today is a big moment. It's a big moment because there's many reasons, but this is really the kickoff. It's November 3rd. We've been talking about this for quite a while. Been, bringing it up on podcasts here and there, but like this is the second and much more improved Moments series. And Devin, tell us what the Moments series is.
Today's day one, and we talked about it last year. We've teased it a bunch this year, but we have always wanted to basically emulate what it's like for a lot of the Midwestern guys that have a bunch of kids, have a day job, and they don't get to hunt a bunch. And if they do get to hunt, it's like they take 3 days off, or maybe they save up 5 vacation days. They get a weekend on both ends, and they got a week to get it done. Mm-hmm. And so we have, starting last year, tried to kind of emulate that, where we created this thing called the Moment Series, where we're going to basically document that process. Talk in real time about how the hunts are going and what the weather conditions are like and what's the rut doing and all that stuff. If I could add too, just on the tail end of that, like I feel a lot of times when I watch things online, YouTube, whatever, whenever you're consuming something, it makes it look like it's easy. Oh yeah.
Because you're seeing the Cliff Notes highlights, right? That's what you're showing. That's what the video is showing. That's what the stories are, all the highlights of it. So like I think by doing this Moment series, a lot of what we wanted to show and emulate, like you said, is like what really happens. Like it's a struggle. It's a grind. There's a very, very good chance and possibility we could be empty-handed at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Like it's hunting. Like there's nothing that's guaranteed about it at all.
Or it could go like it went last year, and day one last year, we doubled up on a brand new property.
It was
so like
phenomenal.
you can't, like it's got to be real.
Yeah.
And like it's very, I think raw is probably the appropriate word. Like this isn't going to be overproduced. We're not going to just show you the kill shots if there are kill shots. It's just like we hunted for a week and here's what happened. Mm-hmm. Like that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is what's exciting for me. So this is year 2 of the Moment series. We've definitely got some improvements that we've talked about are going to show. The Instagram and Facebook is going to be like live time updates. So if you are listening to this and you want to like follow along, Painted Arrow Outdoors that's our handle for everything. So just Painted Arrow Outdoors. We're going to be like giving you live updates the entire week.
Yeah.
That's the plan. So like if you want to see a visual on top of this and in terms of the audio that we're doing here with the podcast, like do that. we've had a lot of cool people interacting with us, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun for me.
We had a really cool comment. So I think we'll get into this, but you just shot a deer. So
Yep.
you're on the board. I'm also on the board. We're going to get into that. But when you shot that deer, you had a really cool, like, not encounter, but somebody responded to you and said something really cool. What was it?
They basically said, like, you know, I hate to even, he said something like, he can relate a lot better to what we're doing because everybody that he's seen online that's famous, not saying that we're famous at all, but like everybody's shooting really big 200-inch deer, and it's like, it's hard to relate with that because they're hunting Iowa, they're hunting Kansas, they're hunting these big leases that most people can't afford. They're doing these big time, like, money things to create media, but like, not to put us up on a pedestal, but we're not doing that. No. We're hunting in Michigan,
a pressured state, small parcels considering, and we're just trying to hunt deer that get us excited.
Yeah.
And I think his point was like, that's a lot more relatable to a lot of people versus like this overproduced content of this 200-inch deer that, you know, it's not as attainable for the masses.
Yeah.
Where it's like you shot a buck, you know, it was so relatable in a swamp in Michigan, rattled him up out of his bed, killed him. He went back down to his bed. Like, that's just, I don't want to say anybody can do that, but that's a lot more relatable than a once in a lifetime 215-inch deer in Iowa that nobody's ever going to get to hunt.
Yeah. 100%. So like the timing of this, we picked a week, right? We've traditionally meaning last year, we picked the same week, correct?
It kind of fell a little different, didn't it?
It felt different, but it was the first week of November.
Well, day one last year, so this is a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday last year was
the 4th.
The 4th, right?
Yep. So it's one day back.
Yeah, it's basically exactly the same.
So all that to be said, in Michigan, you get 2 buck tags and quite a few doe tags, but you get 2 buck tags. There's a restricted and there's a not as quite a restricted in the areas that we're hunting.
And the restricted is 4 or more on one side.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's for the area. There's different areas in Michigan. So all this to be said, we picked the first week of November. However, we had a absolutely killer cold front 28, 29, 30 Halloween.
Yeah, like banger.
Yeah. Like to the point where it was like the stars really aligned. Like it very rarely happens where you have the pressure, you have the moon, you have just a huge drop in temperature. That's really what I like is the temperature.
Yep.
Just because you see more things when it's cold all day.
Mm-hmm.
But it aligned perfectly with the 28th. I mean, that's when
stayed
it happened.
cold.
It was perfect.
All things considered, we've had a really cold October in general. Like we had a cold front that hit at I think the tail end of the first week of October, and it stayed reasonably cold for all of October. It got back up into like the 60s, and we had like a 70-degree day. But then that cold front that you're talking about hit, like
it literally
came in
everything.
the night of the 27th, and in the I think 11 p.m. the night of the 27th, it got down to 46, and it was like 73 the day before.
Yep.
And like the 28, 29, 30, 31, it got cold. It got cold.
So the morning of the Halloween morning, it was cold. I mean, it was 24 degrees. Like my fingers were numb.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect culmination of weather. And we've kind of already told people this, obviously via social media, but Devin and I both hooked up with deer already, and we're not going to like dive into the story,
right?
Because I think that's going to be a separate, we're going to do a whole separate podcast for your deer, for my deer, and really break it down because that's really fun to do.
Yeah.
And just for time's sake today, but we're on the board.
And I had a little bit of history with that deer. Like this is a deer that I've been paying attention to since I think I first got him on camera in July. And I don't want to say I called my shot, but the night of the 27th, it was 72 degrees. And I'm like, I'd been listening to a lot of podcasts of like people talking about hunting like the front edge of a front. Mm-hmm. Like, you know how you hear old people that have had surgeries on joints and they're like, oh, my shoulder feels weird. I can tell there's a rain coming. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I've heard podcasts talk about similar things with deer that like even before the front hits, they can just like, you can smell the rain in the air. They can tell something's going to happen. And I was like, maybe you'll get them up and moving. Mm-hmm. And I ended up shooting one of the deer that I was after at like 518. Mm-hmm. like in broad daylight, 72 degrees, windier than hell. Like it was wild.
Yeah. Sweet deer.
So that was the 27th, and then you killed one the morning of
November 1.
November 1. Beautiful November.
Yeah. And that was I mean, that was a really special day for me. I mean, this was the first season on a new farm.
Yeah.
A completely separate, totally different piece of property that I've ever hunted, or any type of terrain that I've ever hunted ever. And so I was really challenged, like in the beginning of the season, to like figure things out. And man, just connecting with one, the way it happened, the day, the morning, just everything about. I've never shot a November 1 buck either. That was pretty special to me.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it was just, I mean,
you're a morning killer.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Like, you're an evening guy and I'm a morning guy.
Like literally all of the decent deer that I have either a skull mount or a shoulder mount on, all of them, 100% of them, evening deer. I have not killed a buck that I'm like really excited about in the morning.
All mine are, except for one, are
yeah, and you're 100% the opposite.
Yeah.
So I think that probably lends itself a little bit to the properties. Like if we went back through it.
I honestly don't. Here, I'm going to tell you why. I think that it's a lot of hunting is like this. It's right here. It's mental. And I think that you are most confident in the areas that you've had success in the past. I target mornings. I completely target mornings. I don't even like hunting the evenings because I take that back. I take that statement back.
Whoa.
I take that statement completely back. But I specifically look for those types of mornings with the weather, with the wind cover to get in, with all these things. I love the morning personally.
You got to have a property though that lends, like that's tight to bedding that you can get in before the deer come back.
Yeah.
Like I've hunted some properties that are not close to bedding. And so like in the evening, the deer travel through these properties going out to food. But in the morning, like they're crap properties because they're not coming back through that property to go to where they're bedding.
Yep.
And I'm not saying like that's where I shot all my deer, but like an example would be there are properties that just set up way better for evening hunts than morning hunts.
Yeah, agreed.
I think your first farm though, I guess all the deer you killed out there were morning.
All of them.
But you had some
great
evening encounters. Yeah. So it's,
So
anyway.
So let's break this down, okay? Moment series.
Yeah. 2023.
Where are we going to be? Let's talk about the properties. Like let's
Southern
specifically, let's specifically like talk about the areas that we're going to be jumping around to and kind of our plan in general. So you start.
So we're in, for the most part, South Central Michigan. Not for the most part. We're in South Central Michigan. I grew up on a property a little ways from where I live right now. Parents own 22 acres. We've gone through this, but I own a piece that touches that. And so that's what we refer to as the Crickwoods Farm. Mm-hmm. Then I live on a piece that is about a 40-acre parcel that I bought last year. This is where we live now. That's where we're sitting right now. And that is, kind of, I guess we'll call it my home farm. And then you sold your first farm and bought this new piece you were talking about.
In May.
So you've
June,
brand
July,
new
August,
farm.
So 6 months ago, I bought a property.
Yeah. Which is where you live now.
Yeah.
Which is Nate's home farm.
That's my home farm. It's just under 70 acres.
Yep.
And that's my place. So we do have a permission piece. Our family kind of does.
Yeah.
Long friends type thing. And that's just under 40 acres. And my dad, my father, Papa Jeff, and my brother, Big Al, are going to be...
Big Al.
Big Al is going to be out hunting this weekend and very much throughout the week with us. So some of the recovery might be video of them because like they're in close proximity to where we're hunting. So we're all kind of hunting. These properties are not in the same area by any means, but they're like within an hour drive, right?
Of each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
We're going to be, a lot of it, I think, is, and the way I'm looking at this is what we did last year was we kind of looked at the weather, we looked at the wind, we looked at the stands, we looked at some of the trail camera photos just to kind of like give us an idea what was in the area.
Yep.
And like we just made decisions and went with it.
Yeah.
And you had your hand raised though. What was that?
Big Al's first year hunting with a compound bow this year. And that's your old bow. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about that on the podcast before, but you ended up with a Matthews Phase 4, sold him your PSE Evo
NXT
35. Al had a little experience bow hunting, but it was with a traditional bow. And so
he
he's
was hell bent on getting it done with a traditional bow.
God bless him.
But I say, dude, if you like this, you're gonna love a compound bow because it's just like
Yeah.
a little more edge and it's a lot of fun, obviously.
Yeah. So I'm stoked for him. Hopeful he can get it done, and your dad. I think
So
that'd be cool.
I kind of got a feeling about my dad. I said at the beginning of the year when we were laying out our goals, like my dad, he's really like if he gets a buck with his bow, it's gonna be celebrated in a big way. Like he's been hard after it.
Yeah.
He took all last week off.
Did he?
Yeah, he had the whole week off.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been hunting every day this week.
God
so like,
bless him.
I think 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Like he's been hunting this whole time. He went yesterday. He went today. All day. Like he's been out hunting, and he had a good encounter yesterday with a like a 4-point type buck at a scrape that we set up. Like it was a really big deal. Like he told me like I was really tempted to shoot this deer, and I know he wants to get something like his best, right?
Yeah.
He wants to really make a jump, and like he told me he was super tempted. We had these licking branches that we made.
Yeah.
Hung vines. Put him there, like literally set the stand over his left shoulder to give him the best opportunity. And he had this 4-point come in, and he was full draw on him the whole time. He was telling me like I was so tempted, like I really wanted to kill him. And after he walked away, I was really kicking myself for not killing him. Like he was wanting that first bow buck. He hasn't killed anything with a bow.
Yeah.
So all this to say, like he's going to be out hunting around near us this week, and if he gets on one, he's coming on. We're going to definitely film the recovery. Like it's a big deal for me.
For sure.
That he gets something, and he's been in the game, like he's been seeing them.
He's putting in the work.
But he, there's a lot of stands on my place that he won't fit into, in terms of like he's an older man, and he doesn't want to climb up like a
or like a
sticks that are
yeah.
You got to kind of maneuver at the top to get over. Like he's not interested in that. He's either in a ladder stand or he's in a box blind or something that he's very familiar with, getting up in the dark. So he's a little bit limited in that sense on my place, just because I don't have the stand set up for him.
Right.
And I don't know where they put the stands because we've only been there for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
And et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, it'd be a big deal if Papa got one. So
I got a good feeling.
I do too.
We have good weather.
That's
like
the thing.
The last 2 or 3 Novembers, we've had like 70-degree days. Mm-hmm. Not for the whole time, but it seems like the cold weather the last few years has always hit like right at the gun opener. Mm-hmm. Like we're trying to get it done with a bow, and the weather we love always hits like the 14th or the 15th or the 17th. Yep. And then these guys go out with guns and slaughter all the deer. And like that's, I'm not against gun hunting. I just really want to get it done with a bow. Mm-hmm. And this year we've been spoiled with some weather that like we should have a really good week.
So where are you going tonight, and where am I going tonight?
Yeah. So tonight I am after a deer that I'm calling the King 8 on my home farm. Mm. And he's a really big buck. And there's a handful of other deer out here that are equivalent to him in size that I didn't even know about until the last sit. I had an unbelievable sit 2 nights ago where there was like one of the first hot does in the area, and there were bucks from everywhere trying to get at her. And so I learned of 3 new bucks I had never seen. That's not to say that they're anywhere near here now, but I learned of 3 new bucks that were similar caliber to this deer that I'm after. Anyway, this deer that I'm after was in my backyard last night. Like in broad daylight, 5 o'clock, I'm washing bottles for the baby. We're about to go, I'm taking my wife to dinner because we have this rutcation coming up. I'm, got to earn the bonus points. Yeah. And I look up, and he is standing in my backyard. Mm. And I literally just sprinted out of the house, like down to my shop because I have my bow just hanging up in there. And I tried to like get around the side of the barn to see if I could kill him. It didn't happen. But anyway, he was standing in my backyard at broad daylight, and I filmed him. And so he's in the area. I have a really good feeling that I know the 2 different spots that he beds. I don't know where he's at right now, obviously, but he was in my backyard, headed a specific direction last night, and I'm going to go give it a go tonight. I'm hunting the same stand that I hunted 2 nights ago when I had a really, really good sit and saw a bunch of bucks. I have the same wind as I had. It's chilly. We've got
good wind
cover for getting in because I got a long walk and I got to push through a lot of like
BS.
Seemingly good bedding and some BS. I'm taking the long way to get there in the interest of not bumping deer, but I love having like a 14 mile an hour wind to be able to just creep. Like almost like still hunt your way in.
I got a feeling I think we're both going to like on access. I think we're going to see like.
Literally.
We're going to see something.
When I hunted this stand 2 nights ago, I had a decent like 2.5-year-old 8-point. It was the one that I passed at like 6 yards that I sent you a video of. He's got like all this netting. It looks like a soccer net or something that's all stuck on one side of his antlers. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he did, but it's like twine or something. Anyway, he was like bedded under my stand. And long before I got up to it, there was this little doe that was bedded near the creek and heard me coming. She never saw me, but she like heard me and got up and just started running. She had her tail down. She just heard something. And she like basically ran right over top of him. And so he jumped up and ran for the cover. Neither one of them saw me, but they like scattered based on the sound. And so like I get up in the stand and
they come back out.
Not even 10 minutes after I'm in the stand, he comes right back out to the bed that he just jumped out of.
Just checking everything
at like 6 yards.
Could have smoked him.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the spot that I'm going tonight is tight to really good bedding. Mm. And one of the deer that I saw the other night was on the neighbor's property, but it was a really big mature buck that had a hot doe that he was tending. And so anyway, all along this creek, there's this great opportunity for a buck to take a doe out to the middle of nowhere and be very secluded. So I gotta like take my time and still hunt my way in, because there could be a buck with a doe right there.
Right there, yeah.
So, and you, where are you going tonight?
you need to tell me where I'm going tonight.
So you're going to the Crickwoods tonight.
Yeah.
And you're after a deer that I think I've probably talked about him on here.
Oh yeah.
There's a buck that I call Pretty Boy, big, beautiful framed 8-point, that I had encounters with and an opportunity at that I screwed up last year. He's back this year. He's living like real close to our property, if not on it. And I've made 3 sits for him this year. All of those sits were flanked by daylight photos. Like I would get several days in a row of him daylighting and go in under the right conditions, and he wouldn't show. And then the next day I wouldn't be there and he would be there. And I've been playing cat and mouse with this deer. But anyway, you're going to make a sit for him tonight. And you're going to make a sit for him on a creek line in the stand that I had an encounter with and screwed up with that exact deer 1 calendar year ago today. And we talk about it like deer do the same thing or close to the same thing year over year. Like it's astonishing. Mm-hmm. Within the same window of days, like he's close. I promise you he's close. I think you're going to get a look at something good tonight.
Do you really?
I really do.
It's interesting because like I've told you this, but like hunting your place, like I want to respect like your property first and foremost, obviously. Yeah, I know. But I'm saying like in my mind, I'm going in with I don't have any expectations at all, like none.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're telling me all this, and I know that you share, we know each other's property pretty well, but like I'm going in with an open mind.
Yeah.
Of I'm genuinely excited to like see a new area to hunt. You know what I mean? Like you kind of do the same things, and you know your property, and you're like looking at these same places. Like I'm in there, like I got all my senses are going to be keen because I'm like new. I'm new. And that's what I'm personally excited for. So
that's
like,
fun.
If there's a big deer in there, like great. Like that'll be great.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy. But like I'm just excited to get out into a new area.
Yeah.
And this time of year, like there's literally anything could happen.
The cool part about this spot is that it can kind of be hero or zero. Like it's this secluded swamp, kind of tucked up to some mature timber with a creek running through it. And it's like, if a hot doe's in there, every buck in the county is going to be running her down into that bottom. And it might be the most dynamite sit of your life. Mm-hmm. But if the does aren't in there, like it can also be a really like, you hunt a couple times and you're not seeing anything. Mm-hmm. And then like it just turns on like a light switch, which is kind of the rut in general. But that spot and I drove by and they're picking all of the surrounding beans right now.
Yeah, that could be a huge
deal. They might be
deal.
Stirring up a lot of stuff right now.
What's the wind? Is this a southwest or a north?
Southwest.
Southwest, going out.
Yeah. That's what you want.
That's what you want in that area. I take your word for it.
A north works well as well, but you're tight to a creek, and there's a little narrow gap between you and a creek. So on a north, if one's working that edge like right along the creek, it can get you, but a north is pretty safe usually. But that southwest on an evening sit, yeah.
Wait, so should I be expecting them to come like right to left?
No, where you're facing, you're gonna see something out to the west.
Is that right?
Tucked up behind that bean field. I would bet on it. If you call me and say something came from the east, I'll kind of be surprised, but I'm sorry. I would believe it, but I'll be surprised. But if you call me and say I see a really big buck and he's over to the west and I'm trying to grunt him in or I rattled him in, I'm going to be like, yeah. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, you should be.
Oh, so we're both hunting creek bottom deluxes tonight.
The best kind. The best kind. I've found a new love, I think, for swamps. This is
You're kind of a crick guy.
I'm a swampy fella.
Yeah, you're a little bit swampy.
Yeah. I think because I grew up hunting the crickwoods, which is, it's swamp with timber in it. And so a lot of the year it spends time being very dry. So it does have these tall, mature trees, but then the good chunk of the year, it's really, really wet. Mm-hmm. So it's mature timber, but it's only trees that do well with wet feet because a good portion of the year it's wet.
Yeah.
When it's not, or when we have a dry year, it's real tall canary grass over your head all through this bottom.
Bedding.
Beautiful.
Is that what it is right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Hey.
Yeah. And so, but you grow up watching the Outdoor Channel and all this hunting content, and you see these guys hunting field edges in Iowa over corn. And I feel like I almost
want to be there.
I grew up thinking that was the primo. If you buy property someday, you got to have cornfields and hedgerows. But if you're talking about mature deer, habitat, you want everybody else around you to have ag, and you want the swamp.
Yeah.
And it's you gotta, I also think figuring out the different phases of the rut and when and how the deer are going to use different portions of your property changes things. I spent a lot of years seeing no deer, but it's just because I was hunting the wrong spot at the wrong time under the wrong conditions. Mm-hmm. Now you kind of know oh, during this period of time when they're cruising for does, I know where to go.
Yeah.
When they're when they found the does and they want to pin them down in the thicket and lock down, I know where to go. Mm-hmm. And when they're caring about food more, I know where to go. And I don't know. I'm excited for your set tonight. I'm excited for my set tonight. And I'm ready to go deer hunting.
Me too. So I'm going to close by saying, you were saying you're a swamp, creek bottom type guy.
I'm a swampy guy.
You're a swampy guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I am yet. I keep jumping around to properties.
Yeah, you're you're getting a little test taste of everything. You're trying to decide what you like.
I thought I was a CRP guy, open plains guy.
Yeah.
And I just bought a chunk of timber, but
rolling timber with no open ground.
Yeah. So it's it's been very challenging for me to hunt this new place and just try and figure it out, which I'm enjoying thoroughly, but it's just been difficult for me to get on the deer per se. And I don't know, I'm excited for you this week to come in it's different. Yeah. There's just not a lot of that type of ground in Michigan in general. And I know you've never hunted anything like it. So it's it's just different. It's a very different vibe, but it's I'm starting to kind of love it. You know what I mean? It's this big, it feels like this big woods, beautiful
big woods
oak
feel.
Woods.
Yeah.
It's got a smell. It's got a oaky smell in there. And the way that the wind kind of goes throughout, it's pretty. It's really pretty setting.
I think it'll be fun to dive into this at some point, but I'm interested for you to go hunt the crickwoods now because I think you're going to find similarities that you didn't see prior to having your property and hunting it. I think you might pick up on things and look at the crickwoods differently now after having owned this timber piece. Crickwoods is not rolling at all, but it has that very similar big woods feel where you're looking for trails and thickets. Because if you zoom out, it's just a big, vast chunk of timber. And so how they travel through it is really dependent on terrain features and creeks and where the thickets lay out and that kind of thing. You add, at your property, you add in all these saddles and ridges and that kind of thing. But I think as you learn the big woods at your home farm and you hunt the crickwoods, you might find similarities and it might change how you look at some things.
Yeah. I think
because
you're right.
I think when I come out to your place, I'm not prepared for the ridges and the thermals and all that. I'm just not. but I have like groomed my skills with identifying spots in the timber and finding deer in the timber, which like that can be harder to do when you're just used to hunting a hedgerow, looking at a cornfield.
Yeah, and like there's big deer in this timber, like over at my place. There's big deer in there. It's just I haven't put the pieces of puzzles together. But it's gonna be so fun. Like it has potential. Like it has legitimate big mature buck at any moment type of potential when we hunt this week. That's what's exciting.
Yeah,
like there could be a lot of different things running through those hills, and it's gonna be it's the perfect time of year. Everything's perfect for it. So. This being said, I think we laid it out pretty darn well. Weren't we going to say something, though, Trav?
We had something.
Well, I think you were going to introduce a product, and also I think that we should talk to a lot of our listeners are probably going out and going to be doing their own hunts. I think that we give them a little upper as they leave this podcast.
I love that. So the product, this is something that I personally kind of like took. I wanted something like this. Mm-hmm. We make a lot of different filming products.
You ran the ball.
I took the ball on this one. We're going to call this the Mag Pro clamp. So it's quite literally, people can see this, right? This is a clamp. It will literally go on to anything. It's about, what do you think?
Inch and a half?
2.5? 2.5, 3 inches? Anyway.
He's lying to himself.
What is that?
That's a Nate measurement right there.
That might be 2, but
1.75 inches. You can clamp this on anything, but it has a pivoting ball head joint that our Mag Pro head goes on. So something that it is perfect for is putting this on your tether.
For a saddle hunter.
Yeah. So you can put this on anything. You can put this on a 2x4. You could put this on a whatever. But if you put this on your tether, if you picture it going down to your bridge, you just pull your tether off of the tree, stick this up in there, and then you can maneuver this and then throw your cell phone right up there, get different angles. You can do horizontal, vertical. Mag Pro clamp, it went live like yesterday?
Pre-order.
2 days?
Yesterday, I think.
It's live. Pre-order, It's going to ship November 15th, so if you place your order, it'll come a little after the 15th. But we got these in stock, and these are freaking cool. I'm personally really excited about this. It's just a little bit different than anything we've come out with.
Multi-tool.
And it's very versatile. So
I dig it.
That's the Mag Pro clamp.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're actually using that guy tonight. That exact piece.
This exact one. Yeah, I'm going to be using this. I'm like very excited about it. And it provides a cool angle too because it's up a little higher.
Yeah.
If you got that camera down, you can get anything that's walking in behind you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to turn, you can easily just click the camera and you can see what's happening behind you. You know, obviously you wouldn't want to do it if it's like dark because then you'll see the phone light. But like it's a cool piece. It's a really cool piece. So. That's live. That's on the website right now. And then, people are going out in the woods. Travis has got a good point. Like,
it's time.
It's not time to overthink things. It's time to put your time in.
For sure. I said something to you earlier today. I'm like, should I go check that camera? And you're like, all it's going to do is show you a bunch of deer. You might see some bucks on it. Then you're going to be overthinking what you're supposed to do tonight. Like, just go hunt them.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast on Exodus yesterday, Exodus podcast with Jake Hofer, shout out. And they were, I forget the guest that he had on, I think it was Bobby something. But anyway, he was saying, in his opinion, like he just stops worrying about his cameras in November. Because like you might have a buck on the camera today, and then he spends the next day 1.5 miles away, and then he's back tomorrow night. And Jake made a point, like he was like, you know, people get so worked up about the fact that, like, my neighbor just sent me a picture of the deer that I'm after, and he's 1.5 miles away. Like, oh, no. And Jake's like, humans run a mile in, like, 7 minutes all the time. Like, like it's not that far.
It's not.
Like, it's just not that far.
It's not that far at all.
And so I just liked that perspective of, like, keep your cameras running through November. Check them if you want to. But it's more like historical data. Like, it's just it's the time, the conditions to just go hunt.
Yeah, I honestly, I like not seeing deer that I'm always seeing on camera.
I know.
That's what I'm most excited about.
I love being surprised by like the other night. I think that's why that hunt was so fun 2 nights ago. Like, of the 7 bucks I saw, 4 or 5 of them I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like, that was sweet.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like I was in that moment where, like, you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Versus the, like, I know that buck walked past that camera and went into bed, and I'm just waiting for him to come out any minute. Like, that's not as fun.
Yeah. 100p. So the idea is that we're going to try and get as many podcasts in, as many updates in.
Even quick ones. Like, they might be 15-minute podcasts, but it's just like, we're going to just try to give it to you. Yeah.
Live. We're going to try and do them as quickly as possible and turn around. And it's a lot of work, so you better enjoy it.
And if you do, buy a Mag Pro.
Yes. So, Moment Series 2023, we're literally going to go hunting right now. I think we just drop the mic and good luck.
See ya.